What is going on? Welcome to the video game review series, Pass or Play. We decide if we want to pass on the game or if we want to play it. So without wasting any time, let's get to this Nioh 3 Pass or Play review. Nioh 3 is an excellent addition to the franchise, finally making it a trilogy. It does familiar things and it also does new things that have never been introduced to the series before, like the open world. Now, you, Takachio, end up getting the position of Shogun and your brother being very peeved that you got the position and not him, setting on his path of darkness and releasing yokai throughout the world and basically ruining what would have been a peaceful era. Now you enable your guardian spirit to be able to travel back in time and stop the events from happening and stop your brother. And just a little background for the story, that happens like the first 10 minutes of the game, right? You have a little tutorial and then you see all the events unfold right before you. One of the things I love about Nioh 3 is legacy. And what I mean by that is if you played Nioh 1 and Nioh 2, you bring over legacy, prior knowledge over to Nioh 3. Basically, the weapons you use, the enemies you faced in Nioh 1 and 2, they all transfer over to Nioh 3, right? And more. So if I use this certain weapon, if I use the Odachi, if I use the Switchglaive in Nioh 2, I bring over legacy knowledge to Nioh 3. I know how to use these weapons already. I know the matchup already between some of these enemies, right? And most of these enemies that made it into Nioh 3 that came from Nioh 2 or 1, they're gonna have a new moveset, right? So don't expect the same thing every single time. But for the most part, you know what they're gonna do. You know how your weapon works already. Like, it really is familiar. The best way I can explain it is if you play a fighting game like Tekken or Street Fighter, you play the previous old games and you go into the new games, you know how to do a Hadouken, you know how to do an electrical wing god fist, you know how to do all that stuff, right? And this is just prior knowledge, legacy knowledge that transfers over to Nioh 1, Nioh 2, and Nioh 3. And I really love that about 3, how they're able to incorporate that legacy knowledge. And I thought that was an important part to put on this review. Let's get into gameplay. So with Nioh 3, we have our samurai class, right, that we've grown to know from Nioh 1 and 2. We switch stances, everything like that we've known, right? But with Nioh 3, we also have the ninja class. So we've had ninja stuff before in Nioh 1 and 2, right? But now there's specifically a ninja class that you can switch into, right? Which changes the whole dynamic because the ninja class, there's just a bunch of things that it doesn't do like the samurai class, but it also has its benefits too. And you just switch into it, you get like invincibility frames. Like there's so many things and so many creative ways to use the ninja class with Nioh 3. Now I'm so used to the samurai class, I've really just been kind of using that. But play the game how you want to play the game. I love the fact that they kind of separated ninja and samurai, just because before in Nioh 1 and 2, if you wanted to get your ninja tools back and ninja stuff back, you had to either use a ninja toolbox or find a shrine to get all your stuff back, right? Like all your utility, your shurikens, your scrolls, whatever back, like anything that you were using that was like ninja related, you would have to go to a shrine or whatever, right? But with Nioh 3, all you got to do really is just get some kills and you'll earn your equipment back. And I think that's a great way to do it instead of having to go to the shrine or having to use these ninja toolboxes. But Nioh 3 does a great job incorporating that ninja and that samurai. And just getting into the actual gameplay, when I use my Odachi, when I'm just like in the midst of combat, it feels fun. I feel strong, especially when you use the proficiency where you're like your sword turns white or whatever, you get like an extra slash. Like everything feels like super good, very rewarding. Like it just all comes together, especially if you've been playing the game. Like it's fun. Like I stayed up like the first night, like playing like 10-12 hours, like just because I was having so much fun. And usually when I play games for that long, like I still want to review the game, but I'm like, dude, this is a ton of fun. They've done such a great job. You feel very strong, like you, especially if you know how to use your weapon, you're very comfortable with your weapon. Like it's a new experience. And it was really hard to put down playing the game. Like I was having a ton of fun. This is a good opportunity to move into the open world. So with Nioh 1 and 2, we've known those games to be linear experiences. It's just mission based. Yes, you did have your side missions here and there, but for the most part, it was a linear experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of games moving towards the open world space. So having a linear experience sometimes, it's fine. It's okay. One of the things I will say though is that Nioh did such a good job building the bones for their open world, right? Not a lot of games have done that. I mean, you have games like Code Vein. That game was mission based, kind of like a linear experience, and they moved into an open world and their open world was empty, right? Then you have another game, was it Daemon X Machina? They also had an empty like open world. Nioh, on the other hand, they've had time to build up their world. They've had time to build up these enemies from Nioh 1. They've had time to build up these enemies from Nioh 2 and mush it all together and give us Nioh 3 and give us a world that's not empty, that feels lived in, even though most of the people are dead, right? But it just feels like there's enemies there, there's variety there, and we can pull from Nioh 1 and 2, but we can also add new things with Nioh 3 because we've had time to build our world. What I like about Nioh 3's open world is that they reward you for exploring. So going around getting the chests, going around doing the spikes, going around doing the side missions, the quest, all of this rewards you. You get extra stats, defense, attack, you get plus luck. Like you get so many things for exploring the open world. It's not just like a task list, like, oh, check this off, check this off, check this off. It doesn't feel like a chore. It's like, yo, like like, what do I get out of this? I become stronger. Like I get better defenses. I get better loot. Like it's all rewarding the player for exploring, taking your time, and not just rushing through the game. Talking about rewards, we can finally get into the loot system of Nioh 3, right? So if you played any other Nioh, you know that you kind of get showered in loot. Like you get a lot of loot in Nioh. They give you like 2,000, like they give you 2,000 items, right? So that's your space. And eventually you do have to go and maintain that. And it can be annoying. I've never liked the inventory management system of Nioh. I just feel like it's very tiresome when you eventually get to that point. And even if you want to prevent getting to that point, you got to do some inventory management in between your gameplay. So it's like maintenance in between, and it's really, it's always felt like a chore, right? Obviously you do have in-game settings that you can go to change it to where if you only want to see a certain rarity and just kind of disassemble or whatever, break everything down that you don't want or is in a specific rarity. And you might want to do that like once you get to like New Game Plus, but early on you get showered in loot. You're eventually, like by the second region, you're already probably going to be maxed out. I know I was, and I just ended up breaking everything down. That's one thing that Nioh has always struggled with, was just the loot. You get showered in loot. Like it feels like, I know some people probably have already made the joke. They say, oh, it's a looter shooter disguised as like a Dark Souls-like or whatever. But I think, yeah, it sucks. I'm not a big fan of the loot, like being showered in loot. And even then, like managing the, your skills and whatever, like it gets very metagamey, right? And so I've never been really too big on that, but it's there. Feel how you're gonna feel about it. I don't think it breaks the game for me. Like, I don't think it kills it for me, but yeah, definitely a negative or con in my book. Nioh 3 is open world, but that doesn't mean missions are gone. So I know with Nioh 1 and 2, you remember we would go to the overworld map and you would pick your mission. They still have missions in Nioh 3, but they're called battle scrolls. And these are just exactly how you expect. Like, they're gonna be more of a linear experience. You're kind of gonna go through the area and fight whoever boss or whatever. And it's just gonna be a solo mission. I mean, you can co-op, but it's just gonna be a mission where that's your sole purpose. There is no open world, right? So they're still prevalent, they're still in the game, and you have the open world as well. And you usually unlock missions after doing a specific thing in the story or whatever. You'll be able to refight some bosses, or you'll be able to go through an area or whatever, like the Crucible or something. So missions aren't entirely gone. Let's talk enemy variety, right? So you're gonna see familiar faces and new faces alike. Now, they took enemies from Nioh 1 and 2 and they put them into Nioh 3, but don't get it twisted. It's not just a copy paste, put them into the new game, right? They obviously gave them new attacks, new movesets. Now, if you're an older player, you've been playing these games, it's gonna throw you for a loop. You're gonna be like, whoa, I never seen that move, right? You're gonna say that. But if you're a newer player, you're just gonna have to watch out in general because you don't know what these guys do already. But you're gonna see new enemies that have never been before seen, and you're gonna see some palette swaps as well. There'll be some of the same yokai that kind of switch elements and stuff like that, but the enemy variety is so vast, especially from Nioh 1 and 2, that they were able to just have a really large pool of enemies in Nioh 3, and I really like that. I think they did such a good job with that. Let's talk bosses. Bosses are challenging, they are tough, and they are also cheap. They are so cheap. If you love a challenge, if you love like hard boss fights like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, or whatever, this is the game for you. I'm telling you. I mean, I stayed up 3-4 hours like getting my ass whooped by one of the first yokai boss, right? And I've played this game before, right? I've been there. I've seen it all. So, and I'm still getting whooped. It's very challenging. You feel very accomplished when you do finally beat the boss because you're learning the move set. Essentially, you're figuring out like, okay, this is an okay time to dodge. This is an okay time to attack, and you're doing this with the weapon that you chose to. You know, like nothing feels better than that. Like I beat this boss with my own weapon, my own skill. So I really enjoyed the boss fights. Now I was getting angry. I won't lie. I was getting angry, but the boss fights are good. They're enjoyable. They're very tough. And when you accomplish the goal, it feels good. Co-op. So you can play with up to 3 people for Nioh 3 co-op, and you guys can go through bosses together. You can go through the open world together. You can go through missions together, but you guys have to be kind of at the same point. Like you can't kind of push one of your friends up if they're not at that same point yet, which is understandable, and that's how it worked in the previous games too. So you can kind of just go through the story together. If you're struggling with a boss, or you're struggling, or you just want to have fun with the open world with your buddy, you can do that. So that's great. I love that. The one thing I will say though is that for a $70 game, there being no crossplay is a big upset. I don't like that. I think if we're gonna be charging $70 for these premium games, we're going to need some premium services like crossplay. I want to be able to play with my folks on PlayStation. I know this game didn't come out on Xbox, but I feel like we should be able to play with everybody. Biggest topic I wanted to get into was performance. So performance for Nioh 3 was iffy. So I just want to list my specs here. So I have a 5800X 3D, 4090, 32 gigabytes of RAM, whatever, right? So that's my setup. And I run the game at 60 just fine. Like it runs at lock 60. It runs great, runs fantastic at 4K, 3840 by 2160, right? So everything runs great there. What doesn't run great is if I try to switch it to 120, right? I'm getting around 90, whatever frames. It's like 90 between 110 and 90, right? And that's the amount of frames I get if I try to switch it over to 120 locked. Now, here's the issue. If I try to switch it over to 120, and I don't hit 120, the game, specifically my character, moves at slow motion. So I'll be attacking and my character's moving like uber slow. And I'm like, what is going on? What is that? And so for just a little bit extra horsepower, I'm gonna activate DLSS frame generation, right? Makes sense. And as soon as I activate frame generation, the game crashes instantly. Unable to activate frame generation. No idea what that's about. And every time I try to exit out of the game, it's also going to crash each and every single time without fail. Even if I have it at 60 lock, it's going to crash. And so it doesn't make any sense. Everything still saves and I can play it just fine. But if I exit out of the game, I'm going to crash. If I try to put on frame generation, I'm going to crash. If I put on FSR frame generation, I'm going to crash. And so to me, that is a performance issue. That is an optimization issue. Something is wrong. And I really like the game. I do. But one of the things that's super important to me, especially as a PC player, is performance. That's why I'm on PC. I'm tired of games not being 60 frames. I'm tired of games not running well. It's one of the reasons I don't like playing on console. If something runs at 60, that's fine. But when something comes out and it runs at 30, I'm like, why are we playing games at 30 frames in 2026? I'm gonna go crazy. I don't like the fact that this game's not working properly at 120 frames per second, especially with such a high-end rig. Say what you want about my processor, 5800X 3D. It's not that old. It should still be able to keep up with this game. Overall, I think they've done a great job with Nioh 3. This is an excellent addition to the trilogy. They've done such a good job with the open world, just rewarding you for exploring the game. They've done just a really good job with legacy knowledge. So if you've played the previous games, you can bring that knowledge into this game and it's like you never left. I love that. They are rewarding players that have played the previous titles. They're rewarding players for exploring. They are giving players a challenge with the bosses. They've done such a good job with Nioh 3. And if you cannot afford Nioh 3 right now, go back, play Nioh 1, go play Nioh 2, and when this game comes down to a more realistic price that's not $70, I understand, then jump into it, and it's like you've been playing the game. You've earned your legacy knowledge, and I love that. That's like one of the things that I love about Nioh 3 is legacy. Now, despite the PC issues, I'm not a fan. I do not like that the game is having issues, especially running at 120 and not being able to turn on frame gen, especially for my device. Like I can't push up to 120. Like to me, something is wrong. Yes, I know I'm playing at 4K. Yes, I know my processor, it could be a little bit better, right? But the PC economy right now is trash. Anyway, they've done a good job with the game itself. They need to go back, fix the performance. I would love to see crossplay co-op in the game eventually. I know that's something that they could work on, something that they could do. I think it's something that needs to happen. But overall, they've done such a good job. This series came from such humble beginnings, especially when you look at Nioh 1. It came out alongside Horizon Zero Dawn. Nioh 2, like, you know, it was popular, but it wasn't how Nioh 3 is now. So we've really worked for this. We've really worked for this. So like I said, if you haven't played Nioh, try it out. I give this game a thumbs up, a play. You got to try it out. Despite the PC issues, I'm hoping that they fix them, because one of the things I hate is bad performing PC games. I don't think this game is awful. I think it still needs to get fixed, especially the frame gen stuff. But you can usually run it at a lock 60, and that's still good to me. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you thought this video was bad, give it a thumbs down. This has been a pass or play review series. I give this game a good. It's a pass. You got to play Nioh 3. Check it out. Check out some of the other pass or play review series games that I've tried. I think I've done Code Vein. I've done Daemon X Machina. Check those videos out if you haven't already. They're good. They're great. They're fantastic. And we're getting better. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Take care.